I'd like to speak a little bit about alignment today. And the specific area that I'd like to focus on in alignment is the very, very, very base. And the very base is, of course, the human foot, but more precisely, the sole of the human foot. In other words, what are the ground forces that work through the foot and how? And what kind of elements can we look at, examine, pay attention to, and play with? So you've probably heard the terms pronation and supination in regards to the human foot. The tendency to peel off either the inside or the outside of the foot in standing, in walking, etc. And there is a very famous and common Feldenkrais process where you lie on the floor, bend one knee, stand one foot, and roll over. Roll your pelvis over, roll the rest of yourself over. And I'd like to speak about that today and to speak a little bit more in detail about why is it that we do the things we do when we work through that process. Okay, so I'm going to get down to the floor and get into a position where I lie on my back, stand one knee, stand one foot, bend one knee, stand one foot, and keep the other one long. So what I do here is I'm using my standing foot to roll over. To roll my pelvis over, for starters. And what's interesting is that there are two specific ways that I'd like to show you. One of them is where I do this movement and roll my pelvis together with my knee to the side. See this knee tilting to the side? It's a very natural way of doing it. A lot of people do that when they're asked to do this movement. The other way is by keeping the knee upright and allowing for it to only move in this line towards the head or towards the foot, but not tilt left and right. And what this variation creates is some really interesting details that we can look at. The first obvious detail is that I'm opening up at the hip joint here. So rather than keep the relationship between my right leg and my pelvis constant, and as I push off, let the knee move, the leg move together with the pelvis, this way I create an opening at the hip joint, but I also keep the foot flat on the floor. And that's really where a lot of the value comes from, paying attention to this difference. Can we leave the foot standing, dependable, supporting us, flat, mostly on the heel, but also a little bit on the rest of the foot, on the outside edge of the foot, on the ball of the foot? Can we refrain from collapsing into the arch, from pronating? And it's not as if the other way is wrong, but you want to know what you're doing. You want to know that when you do this, you're leaning into your arch, you're collapsing your foot. Your base of support is now no longer the same. Okay? This very simple differentiation between those two ways of moving is very useful. Is very useful and very sort of educational. Educational in the good sense of the word. It's not something you want to memorize. It's something you want to play with and feel that you're able to pay attention to, adopt, make use of, and hopefully begin to recognize that difference between pronation and walking on a well-organized foot when you're upright and moving around as well. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you for watching.